I'm standing in front of a map of the island of New Penzance. The whole thing is tick-infested. Everywhere up here. I think 80% of the people living on this island actually have Lyme disease. It's the setting for director Wes Anderson's exciting new movie, Moonrise Kingdom. A lot of hard work goes into the making of a movie like this. Bill Murray is one of the stars of the movie. He plays Mr. Bishop. He lives over there on Summer's End, little house. Well, it's not that little, it's bigger. Bill Murray and Wes Anderson have actually worked together a number of times. Wes always used to say that in the beginning, Bill frightened him. Here's Bill in a scene. His son is over there wearing an Indian headdress. That's his real son, not his movie son.
Bill, speed up your line even a little more.
Time this one.
Here's Bill with his movie wife, the wonderful actress Frances McDormand. Bill isn't really angry, his character is. In between scenes, Bill can be very playful. Sometimes he plays golf. Here's the climax of one of this. Whoa, Bill didn't really fall right now. That was a stunt. He's one of those actors who's really just up and ready to do anything all the time. Bill's character is mad at Bruce's character.
Whoa! Whoa!
In real life, Bruce and Bill get along pretty well.
The movie's set in 1965, and that really, I don't know that it's essential that it be that time period, but it sort of came about because the island where we filmed the story is actually, since 1962, it's not really an island anymore. It's connected by a bridge to Newport, Rhode Island, and it's changed significantly. It's a completely different place from what it was. There's another island where we filmed part of the movie that is still accessible only by ferry, and it's sort of a time warp. So I wanted our movie to be in that America that existed, you know, it's just one generation earlier.
And action.
Here's the bright young actor who stars in the film. In this scene, Wes Anderson assembled over 300 khaki scouts, a zip line, and a model rocket. And here the crew is pulling a boat on a wire, making it seem as if the khaki scouts are sailing. The director frequently finds himself in the middle of all the action. He's very kind to children, which is important. There are a lot of children in this movie. Here's a khaki scout jumping on a trampoline. He's a state champion. After months together on the movie, it's become one big happy family. Thanks to Wes Anderson.
I love Fantastic Mr. Fox.
And a lot of very cheerful khaki scouts.
Okay, you got it.
I wanted to make a romance between two 12-year-olds that was more powerful than they really knew what to do with, and that the parents, you know, were kind of overwhelmed by it. That it was kind of out of everyone's control.
You men and women all, hide! Lest this water fall, and its beasts were installed into the ship rot.
And as I was working on it, I ended up sort of having something happen where I decided this girl in the story would be a big reader. And in fact, she's traveling with a suitcase full of fantasy books. And somewhere along the way, I started thinking more and more that the movie should really be one of her books, kind of. And that really ought to be our form. That the movie is the sort of story that the two characters in it would want to read.
Will you hold your paper up? Yeah. You could fold it, I think.
Try not to make it be the same paper.
A 12-year-old with a crush that's really the whole world for that person. And in the same way that I remember when I was that age, when I would read a book, that the book would be my whole world, and I would sort of lose a sense of quite what is reality and what is the book. And it was the same thing with it, you know, a romantic feeling at that age, you sort of lose touch with what it's like you're entering into a fantasy right then. And I wanted to kind of do something that related to that. The big thing with working with children is finding them, because, you know, they're not, you don't just say, oh, I mean, sometimes you can say, if we could get the kid from such and such, but most of the time you say, we have to find somebody. And both of our main characters, the girl Susie is played by Cara Hayward, and Sam is Jared Gilman, and they are people we found in their schools. They hadn't been in anything before. But in the case of Cara, her audition, which my first exposure to any of them is a little QuickTime on my computer, which I'm just watching hundreds, thousands of these, and her audition, she gave every appearance of making up the words as she spoke them. It's a scene I'd seen done so many times that I had come to hate the scene. And for the first time, this girl is doing it just as if it's a documentary. So I was immediately taken with her and thought, well, not only can she do it, she's already doing it. With Jared, I saw his audition and it was more the conversation that the casting director had with him afterwards. His personality, he made me laugh, and he was appealing and funny and unique. For them, they're going to leave school, their whole life gets set aside, and they now have to be professionals. They have to be actors and report for work every day, and there's a lot to prepare that's not just getting into character. But I also feel like the best way for them to prepare for all the other things is to get into character and to just sort of start doing it and get into a routine with this company and become a part of the company.
102 Baker, take 6. Mark.
Background.
They're dressed up in period costumes, and they're in a setting that's unlike anything that they're used to. But for me, what I mostly want to see is them just feeling natural in it. And they usually are kind of quick to do that. They get used to well, this is the way I dress for now. I'm not going to dress this way as soon as they let me go. But what's interesting, though, is to see a kid studying a typewriter like it is the most bizarre object. How does it work, and what is this? That to me, that's the generation gap.
A lot of hard work goes into the making of a movie like this. Bruce Willis is one of the stars of our movie. He plays Captain Sharp.
Just spritz anybody that comes by.
We've all seen Bruce Willis playing some very tough policemen.
Okay, catching this thing here.
Here he is playing a really nice cop. He's laughing. I don't think that was part of the scene. Captain Sharp is the police chief on the island, and in fact, he's the only policeman on the island and has the only car. He drives, and he takes care of law and order. Here he is discussing a big break in the case with Frances McDormand and Bill Murray. Daughter has run off with the khaki scout that Bruce Willis is looking for. Mr. Willis always tried to make the little khaki scouts he was working with feel relaxed. In one scene, he actually deputized some of his khaki scouts.
Deputizing the little guy, the skinny one, the boy with the patch on his eye to come with me in the station wagon.
They were very happy to become junior policemen. Now here he is in an exciting action sequence. The rain is only movie rain, but it was still wet and cold. Mr. Willis spent a lot of cold hours filming in that rain, but he didn't have to hang upside down. That was a double.
We're coming down, over and out.
Here's the crew congratulating Bruce Willis on his last day on the set. We all had a really good time.
Difficult for me to see the whole picture at once. I gather together a lot of ingredients, and I have an idea of how this element is going to relate to these other ones, and that we're kind of finding some motifs and we're building something, but I never have a clear sense of what it's going to be like when it's all together. And I'm always surprised. First, I'm always surprised when I see the first dailies, and it has all sorts of things that we've been working on, and now there they are the way they're meant to be, and so this is what it's like when you add them together. And then as the shots start getting attached one to the next, that's another surprise.
Edward Norton plays Scoutmaster Ward, leader of Khaki Scout Troop 55. He rings his bell and calls them to work. They're working on a latrine today.
DeLuca, latrine inspection.
Khaki Scouts work hard. Troop number 55 hangs out there at Camp Ivanhoe. Edward leads his scouts on some pretty strange adventures. Shooting could get pretty tense. A hurricane does figure very prominently in the movie and endangers the lives of some of our characters.
What do you have to say for yourselves?
If it ever got tense on set, Edward would play with his hat. Here's Wes Anderson holding a megaphone. Edward Norton, he's holding an iPhone. Edward's a natural leader. Here he is sticking a pencil in the mouth of a khaki scout. He can jump like a rabbit and throw a stone with the best of them. But in the end, he proved himself a real friend to khaki scouts everywhere.
When I see them in a movie that I'm working on, I say this is a bit like something we've done before. I usually that's usually a problem for me, and I think, well, we cannot have another yellow tent. The problem is that I then say, but I don't really have any other color I like as much for this tent. So this movie, Moonrise Kingdom, well, in the Royal Tenenbaums, there is a yellow tent that figures kind of significantly in the story. There's a couple of scenes that take place in this tent, and this movie, they're in a yellow tent, and it's really, I think it's unfortunately some hard wiring that I'm not really able to reconfigure, and I don't mind terribly links among my films because I like the idea of sort of building up a collection of these different pieces that are linked together, but I would love not to have someone say, well, that's just like what you did before.
Who's missing? Shukusky?
Jiminy Cricket, he flew the coop.
All right, here we go.
Oh, hello. I'm Bill Murray. On the set of Moonrise Kingdom, a new film directed by Wes Anderson.
It's about two young people that have fallen in love for the first time.
What kind of bird are you?
They decide to run away together and live happily ever after.
Where the hell are you?
Right here.
Does it concern you that your daughter has just run away from home?
That's a loaded question.
A search party composed of many adults having their own internal dramas goes out for them.
Until help arrives, I'm deputizing the little guy, the skinny one, and the boy with the patch on his eye to come with me in the station wagon.
The 60s has a particularly high level of nostalgia. It just seems so natural and obvious for this story.
I did a scene in this set the other day.
There are some very amazing actors in the movie.
I've seen all Wes's films. I wanted to work with him and work with this cast.
There's no cause for alarm, sir. We'll find him.
My character's name is Randy Ward, and he's the scoutmaster of Troop 55. Let's find our man, bring him safely back to camp.
Frances McDormand plays my wife, Mrs. Bishop. What am I looking at?
He does watercolors, mostly landscapes, but a few nudes.
I play social services. She gets called in to render some kind of order into the mayhem.
Where's the boy?
I play a gentleman named Cousin Ben. Every time you work with Wes, it's an adventure. He is just such a great filmmaker. And they have so many things going on in the background, you don't really grasp what you're part of until you see it.
I really love his attention to detail and going into a world that's as beautifully designed as this. It's such fun.
I've never seen anybody else work this way. The shots that he sets up are all really gorgeous shots, and they just seem exactly right.
He's visualized it as usual in such a really beautiful way. You put your costume on in this thing, you get transcended.
It's amazing how much the right hat can deliver a character to you wholesale. When a director is as great as Wes is, he creates a really great feeling of camaraderie among people.
This is a Wes Anderson film. As unique as all his films are, it is really funny and lovable.
There's a real sweetness to it. It takes you back to the romantic notions of the time.
This film is beautiful. I think it's great. Go and see the film.